we had
Speaking of someone who picked a terrible record, Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football continued. We were thinking, maybe Kevin O'Connell is going to turn around Kirk Cousins and change his awful Monday night record, which consists of beating the Bears twice without stellar quarterbacks because the Bears don't have any. And then what's he do? Comes out, plays like Kirk Cousins does on Monday Night Football.
So bad.
Throws a bunch of picks. Justin Jefferson disappears, nowhere to be found. Credit to Darius Slay for taking the challenge upon himself, not giving up the inside, forcing him out. Kirk Cousins had some really terrible balls out of characteristic plays, but they have a lot of athleticism on defense and offense for the Eagles. So I'm really impressed that they held the Vikings to 7 points, but I would like a little more than 24.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Vikings defense isn't bad. I think they got some good talent around them. Honestly, this game was really defined by Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts played incredible. I mean, he was a cheat code. I mean, we talked about how well Lamar played against the Dolphins, but Jalen Hurts was in control this entire game. He was mobile. The balls that he threw were beautiful. And I'm tired of all the Jalen Hurts slander that I've heard the last year and a half. I think he proved to us on Monday night, Jalen Hurts is the real deal. If I were them, I would stick with him. I think he's got a lot of guts. I think he's a good leader. And with their team now, with A.J. Brown, that receiver, who they've never had a good receiver core the last decade, pretty much since the Super Bowl. Then they got Devontae Smith, who's a solid receiver. They got Dallas Goedert, who's a nice tight end. Miles Sanders, even, who for most of the time I feel like has underperformed, played well last night. And then their defense shut down the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins on primetime. I mean, it's unfortunate on how much of a drop-off we have with him. But that defense also was putting so much pressure on them. And honestly, just made Kirk Cousins crack like an egg.
Yeah, I feel like the defense is really good. Really, their only hole was corner. And they picked up a guy from the Saints. I forget. What's the last name?
I know they got James Bradbury.
Yeah, James Bradbury. They get him from the Saints. You have Darius Slay. So now you have two really good lockup guys. A lot of people are saying Big Play Slay was old. I disagreed with that. And then you pick up Jordan Matthews, or Jordan Davis, who's the replacement for Fletcher Cox. So you get that in the middle of your defense. You also get another really good pass rusher in the draft. And then Jalen Hurts is a supreme leader because he's the leader in the weight room. He is the strongest pound for pound guy in that locker room. He squats 500 to 600 pounds. And then you see him leading there. And then on the football field, making sure Dallas Goedert gets his 5 catches, 82 yards, 6 targets, 7 targets, 7 catches, and 80 yards for Devontae Smith, who a lot of people were worried about last year. He's coming into his own. I think he's going to be a great 2 for that team. And then A.J. Brown, 5 catches, 69 yards. Not a bad game. And then Quez Watkins, I mean, he caught 2 deep balls, got open, and got the really deep touchdown. Yeah. Running wide open. The safety completely lost him. And I know he was wide open, but most quarterbacks don't hit their guy on stride on a play like that. I see a lot of players leave their receiver short when they're running wide open, and just credit for Jalen Hurts for hitting him in stride so he didn't have to dive on the turf for it. I think that's also a really good play. And then Sanders running game, it's like the Eagles really don't have a hole.
No.
And I feel like Nick Sirianni is an amazing head coach, and he's on his way to a coach of the year.
Yeah, if they keep up the pace they're on, which I think would be important if we pull up their schedule real quick, because the Eagles' schedule the next couple of weeks, they can rattle off 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 wins. So while I pull up the schedule, first of all, they face the Commanders next week, which I think, NFC East matchup, I think the Commanders are going to play them tough. The Commanders and them, they usually play pretty close.
I feel like there's some bad blood in that game because you have Carson Wentz going up against his replacement in the Philadelphia Eagles versus Carson Wentz. And then you also have the Commanders and the Eagles are both going to be juiced out of their mind just because they know how much each game means for their quarterback. But I do feel like this game means more for Carson Wentz because Jalen Hurts was the one drafted to replace him. So I feel like Carson Wentz is going to be the one who's ticked off and motivated in this game. So I don't think they'll win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people think, just because of that.
Yeah. So that game, I guess you could say, could go either way, but we'll chart that as a maybe. Then they have the Jaguars, who they should win against. They got the Cardinals, the Cowboys without Dak Prescott. That should be a win for them. The Steelers.
That should be a win.
The Texans. That should be a win. The Commanders, if they do nothing else, I think they at least split with the Commanders. The Colts dominate the Colts. The Colts are horrible.
Sirianni from there as well.
Yeah, exactly. The Packers, we'll see what happens. Titans, I think they beat the Titans.
Packers, that's a lock.
Giants, they faced the Giants twice, and then they got the Bears, Cowboys, Saints. So, I mean, in those games, I think they can rattle off the first 10 weeks. I see them rattling off at least 8 games at the minimum and 10 at the max.
Only see 3 losses in there. I don't think there's a team in there that they should lose to besides maybe the Chargers or the Cowboys when Dak comes back. But
you mean the Commanders? Because they don't face the Chargers.
Oh, they don't face the Chargers?
No, they faced the Commanders twice.
Okay, for some reason I thought they did, but overall I feel like this team's going to be on pace to win 14-3 and be the number 1 seed in the NFC.